Welcome back, family. This is Anthony and Shanna. The Cheatham Lounge. This is our official first episode. We want to thank you all for tuning in and thank you for all of the encouragement that we have received. And it was pretty cool to immediately be met by so many encouraging folks, and people seem to be eager to see what we have to say or put out there or what have you.
Yes.
So what we're going to do today is a personal Q&A with each other, kind of interviewing each other. 5 questions, and hopefully this will give a little insight as to who we are and some of the things that we think about and talk about, as we mentioned in the first introductory episode. So we will get right into that.
Should be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question is, what moment from our first year of marriage would you take back or do all over again?
So the moment that I would take back.
Or a moment you would do all over again?
That's a tough one. Man, that is a tough one.
Somebody stumped.
How would you briefly describe your marriage experience in light of us mentioning that so many people have asked about our marriage?
Oh, like how does it really stack up compared to what people think?
Something like that.
Okay. I would say, well, I think I'll say this. I feel like a lot of people always see the good stuff, and so their expectation is like, oh my God, they must, well, I don't really know what people think, honestly. I just know that people always say, y'all look like you have so much fun. True story. But he gets on my nerves sometimes.
That's right.
But we do have fun. I mean, I think it's like a little less than what people might think. And I only say that because I feel like people, I don't know if people ever imagine like what our conflicts look like, but our conflicts, when we have them, can be a little passive aggressive and a little intense. I don't know. Anyway, but I think like people's expectations are here, or people like see our marriage like right here, and that just might be me being like a little overzealous. I don't know. If I had to guess what people thought, I would think maybe over here, and I would say like maybe we're here, not quite like up there yet, because I don't think that, honestly, I don't know that anybody's ever where other people assume they are, because I feel like we put our best foot forward. You know what I mean? Like we hardly ever argue out in public. Although at care group the other night, it's kind of funny. They thought we were in conflict because we were sitting next to each other. We actually weren't that night, but I mean, it's a legit question because we just weren't sitting next to each other. Anyway, that might be a long version of what he wanted, but I think people are here. We're really like here. We really do have a lot of fun, and we enjoy each other because we actually like each other. Like, not just like, ooh, like each other, but like, I actually like him as a friend, so I like to talk to him. I think that's what makes it pretty exciting.
Did I just get friend zoned in our marriage?
We got friend zoned in our marriage.
So I bet you all are probably wondering who is who and who does what now from what we've said.
Who does what? I don't know what you're talking about.
It'll make sense for the first thing.
Second question for me. We'll see if he can actually answer this question, y'all. So where do you think you are most gifted as a husband?
Most gifted. I think it lands somewhere around patience and kind of, for lack of a better way, methodically thinking through things. I think one of those were probably my greatest gifts. Did you say gifts?
Yeah. Or where you get to as a husband. I think that's right. I agree with that. I think he's super patient. Super patient.
So my second question is, what are helpful things in our marriage that gives you hope for our future?
Oh, that's a good one. His gifting as a husband and his patience. His patience gives me hope for our future. Because I can be a little difficult to deal with. And then you add Victoria on top of that, and it becomes a little bit more difficult. But so I think it's his patience, but I also think it's our faith too, because that is kind of what we lean on. And I mean, we've been tried in certain ways, and I guess that's for a future episode to go into that deep stuff. But so we've been tried in certain ways, and so I feel like that's just the hope that we have, is that we have a wonderful community that I know that will surround us whenever we have issues or when we've had issues in the past. So that's very helpful. And I know that I have men. That sounds weird. I have men.
Yeah.
There are men in his life that I know I can go to if he starts acting crazy. And that just comes with having the community that we have, which our community is CCK. Appreciate y'all. FYI. Next question. What single piece of advice, only one piece of advice, would you give your 20-year-old self that would give him the best chance for a successful marriage?
Man, that's a good one. Just think about the 20-year-old me, and some of the things that I struggle with. It would have to be to speak to my fear. And I recall in relationships, I would sometimes make decisions or do certain things based on what I feel may happen to me. And that's not any way to live, and that's not any way to be in a relationship. And that fear has caused me to make some poor decisions. So the single piece of advice I would give to myself, would be to commit regardless of what may happen to myself, commit regardless of what someone may or may not do, but to maintain the integrity aspect that I had, and allow the commitment to be unconditional. I was very conditional, and along with the fear. So sometimes I would sabotage stuff. If you're going to be in a relationship or pursue a marriage, figure out who it is that you're really into, that you really have a heart for, and commit to that person. And don't fear what may or may not happen to you. My next question to you is, what do you think is required in a marriage for it to be successful, basically?
Grace.
Want to talk a little bit about that for the extended version?
Sure. So I think that grace is vital to a successful marriage. I think that extending of forgiveness, that extending of understanding, because I feel like you say grace, but I feel like grace is kind of like a ball with like a whole bunch of other words inside of it that like shake around to like make grace. Because I mean, grace is that extension of like, okay, understanding, forgiveness, love, patience, all those things wrapped up in one. Because being married, what I've learned is that I'm trying, like, how do I put this? I guess there's no sugarcoating, so I'm just gonna say it. He gets it wrong. Like, he gets it wrong, and so that can go either way. Like, he gets it wrong because it's just not the way I want it done. But he just he fails. Like, you know what I mean? He just fails at things. I fail at things, and so we both fail at things. But the reality is like, when he fails largely or when he fails minimally, how am I going to respond to that? Am I just going to jump off the deep end? Am I going to be willing to have that understanding? Because when it's my turn to fail, I'm not going to want him to act crazy or leave me or walk out. And so it's being willing to kind of put my personal feelings sometimes even and emotions aside. And I think, and I feel like I'm speaking generally because I don't want to get into a whole bunch of sinning that we've dealt with in our marriage, because we will get to that when we talk specifically about some of those things. But so in general, like with specific sin that we've dealt with in our marriage, I feel like I feel like not having extend that grace, it just causes kind of more issues. And the reality too is, one thing I feel like I had to realize is that I had to put my personal feelings aside so that God can deal with his heart. Because me trying to make him feel bad for what he's done or where he's failed is not going to change him. It's not going to make him going to want to do better. It's going to make him want to do worse, because it just got on his nerves. And so I kind of had to step back from my emotional ties to it, I guess. It's the best way I can say it at the moment. And just kind of say, okay, Lord, like, I'm going to pray for him. And then just be willing to try to love him through it, even though like I'm still kind of mentally dealing with it myself. But try not to like burden. This sounds crazy. I'm trying to burden him with my emotions, because I'm trying to pray for him so the Lord can work in his heart. Because if I'm creating this other distraction in here, then I feel like I'm getting in the way of the words the Lord's trying to do. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Next question. Okay, you gotta be honest. He gotta be 100% honest. And if y'all be at church and y'all know y'all smell something and you don't think it's Victoria. So my question is, how often do you fart in public and actually blame it on Victoria? Because I feel like he does that a lot.
No, I do not. No.
Look at his face.
I don't.
I think that's a lie.
No.
I think the lie detector test determined that was a lie. Can one of my law enforcement friends give me a lie detector test, please? Because
nope.
I don't think he's telling the truth. We just talked about this the other day, and I'm pretty sure he's not telling y'all the truth.
No. I'm pretty sure.
So do you do it?
No.
So you have never done it?
No.
You've never farted in public and blamed it on Victoria?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it. Now, you might.
Yeah, I would. That is why you have a kid. I don't understand. Like, why else would you have a kid?
I ain't get the memo. Who is going to be the first person that cries on the vlog?
Really? Really?
I think one of my biggest fears was when we first found out we was pregnant, was what was going on with you and how you were dealing with it, and your fears, and being that we struggled with infertility, and then there was the health issues I was fearful about how you were doing with all of that. One of the greatest challenges of since becoming a father for me is resolving some old issues from past experiences that have, I feel like it sets me up to be an ineffective father. There's just some issues in my heart that regarding anger and attempting to raise a child in a way that I want to versus in a way that I've experienced. Having another mode, just being a teacher that I struggle having a connection with, and that's the affectionate side. Instead of just being the authoritarian person, the authoritarian parent in our marriage, just connecting with the affectionate side has been a challenge for me, and not feeling like I'm just doing because early on it felt like I was just doing a chore. It was things that needed to be done, but I didn't feel like, well, it's a current challenge, so I think it's gotten a little better. Separating the chore of parenting from the love of parenting has been a challenge. Not separating it, but joining the two. A lot of times I can get caught up in just the duty of it without drawing back and allowing myself to actually connect with my daughter. Speak about any fears or challenges you have about opening our family up to the public with this vlog.
It's funny because I was just thinking about all the stuff that we plan on talking about, and I actually have a fear that like students and things like that can get a hold of these videos. Opening your home and opening your life, like I said, we'll be talking about some of the stuff we struggle with. I mean, because that's how, we feel like that's the way in which we're being called to serve, and that's hard because you're vulnerable when people know like what's going on in your house. Because it used to be what happens in the house stays in the house. You don't tell people about that. And like I said, I do believe in discretion, but at the same time, we're being called to a certain thing here and humbling ourselves and saying, listen, this is a part of like who we are, and this is how the Lord is changing us and growing us, and this is what it looks like, and this is real and this is raw. And so I do have a fear about that, but I also just have a fear about how people will respond when they know, not necessarily, this is gonna sound crazy, but like they know the truth about us. That was kind of creepy. I do that, but sorry.
Feel free to clip that and make a bunch of memes raw.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But anyway, so it's just kind of interesting because the reality, like I said before, is that you can care. We just care what people think and wonder how people respond to like what we say and what we do, and they're like, "Oh, she's weird and crazy," or "Oh my gosh, can you believe they did that?" That kind of thing. And so I just have a fear of that, just being judged in ways I don't want to be judged, but at the same time, ways in which I have to like really humble myself and try to not care about being judged because we just want to help. What else did you ask? Fears and what?
Fears and challenges.
Oh, fears and challenges. Challenges will be us agreeing on stuff. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to let's just do it. Let's just talk to the camera. And he's like, no, let's do an outline. I'm like, oh my God.
Gotta have some structure.
Seriously. He be doing the most, y'all. So I that just creative differences.
That'll probably get real.
Challenge. Y'all might be marriage counseling. That's how people try to do this. That's all I can say.
Online marriage counseling
Yeah.
accepted.
So, okay, that's the end of our Q&A. So that takes us into episode 3. Episode 3 is Q&A with the Cheatums. And so we want you guys to drop us a line in the comments, or we will be posting this on our Facebook page, which is Anthony, Audrey-Anthony. I don't remember how it goes, but feel free to shoot us a DM on there and let us know what questions you have for us. Anything goes.
Sure, why not?
Anything goes. So feel free to just ask us what you want to ask us, and we will take about the next 3 or 4 days to compile questions, and then we'll just answer all of them and post the video.
Yeah.
And we will see how that goes.